So saying that, if I had to choose one of these shoes, it's really, really hard for me to decide because so we've got a battle of some beasts here today. We've got the Puma MagMax Nitro up against the HOKA Skyward X. So we're going to go through their differences, their similarities and their key features, and hopefully from that, that's going to give you guys a great indication of choosing the right shoe for you. But before we get into it, a big shout out to my #1 running store, the Running Company at Geelong. I've got a link to the website in the description. Make sure you go check out that and check out all their running gear. And also guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And with our specs, so what is jumping out to me here is the massive price difference between these two shoes. So for some reason, HOKA are crazy expensive here in Australia. So, and this shoe is a great example of that. So this is priced at the same amount as an Alpha Fly here. So absolutely crazy. But I have noticed recently it has come down $10. So well done there, HOKA, but I think it needs to come down a lot more. Now in the weight, you can't really tell the difference between these two shoes. They feel about the same and also feel about the same on the foot as well. Stack height's probably up there with the two chunkiest shoes on the market. The HOKA does feel like it definitely has the taller stack, and you feel, yeah, I think it's got to do with how compliant the foam is as well. So you feel a little bit taller in this one than over that one. But when you actually throw these shoes on and you look down, you really feel like that the Puma is like the chunkier shoe, where you just feel, it feels quite sort of boxy and tall in the HOKA. And in our uppers, two pretty traditional designs going on here, but using different materials obviously. Now, what they use in the Skyward X, they call this one a flat knit. Now, it's a pretty thick material, but nice and comfortable. Breathability though could be better, so it's not the best. Really solid heel cap at the back, so solid as a tank. We've got an Achilles flare, which I love. Probably a medium amount of padding around the heel collar with a little bit more padding on the actual Achilles itself. I'm going to say a plush amount of padding on the tongue, so nice and chunky, really nice, but the tongue isn't gusseted, which is a bit of a shame. Now, it looks like a bit of a standard lacing system from the outside, but it's got an internal strap, which really helps lock the foot down here. In the lockdown, it's okay, but I think it could be better. Now in the fit, now for a HOKA, this is the best fitting HOKA I think that I've ever tried on. So usually HOKAs are too narrow, but I don't have the issue with this shoe. So for me, it's true to size in the length, and I think it's fine in the width department as well. But overall, this shoe has a good amount of volume in it, yeah, especially for a HOKA. Build quality, excellent. Step-in comfort, excellent. Now with the MagMax, engineered mesh is what they use here, and in comparison to the Skyward X, this one is noticeably better in the breathability department. So there's much more air flowing through, especially through the toe box. You can feel pretty solid heel cap here, but not as solid as the HOKA. We've got a little bit more padding around the heel collar here, so yeah, I'm going to say not quite plush, but certainly more than the HOKA. And in our tongue, we've got a stretch knit tongue, which is one of the best features on this shoe. Amazing. Sort of reminds me of the tongues that they would use on the Nimbus series. But yeah, really comfortable stretch knit tongue, and it's gusseted. Does a great job to hold the foot down on the shoe. Lockdown, excellent. So not an issue with this one. Lacing system, they use these, is standard, but they use these thinner laces here, but they feel quite like premium, quite robust. So I really like the laces that they do use. Now in the fit, so Puma in general are usually a bit too pointy and a bit too long, but again with this shoe I don't have that issue. So this shoe fits me true to size. It's not too pointy. There's a good amount of volume in the toe box. So I just think it's actually pretty much perfect for my foot. Build quality, excellent. Step-in comfort, excellent. Now, just wrapping up the uppers of these two shoes, I think the fit is a little bit more refined and it fits me like a glove, the MagMax, and the breathability and the stretch knit tongue for me give the MagMax a winner in the upper. Only slightly though, because I do like the upper in the Skyward X. And in our outsole, so a bit of an unfair fight here because one's got Puma grip and the other one's got Dura abrasion rubber. Well, I think it's Dura abrasion rubber because they use that in the other models. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments below. But good amount of coverage here. Pretty much any or all the exposed foam that hits the ground is certainly protected by this rubber. Now their rubber compound is quite soft to the touch, which I like, so it doesn't make the ride slappy. It's grippy enough as well. It's excellent in the dry, nice and tacky and sticky. You get really confident with the grip here in the dry. But in the wet, there is a tiny little bit of slippage. So, you know, when you're on a really slippery road and it just slips a couple of mil, nothing concerning, but it does have that in this shoe. Some other features on the outsole here. We've got some channels that run all the way up to the forefoot and all the way down to the rear of the shoe. Then they got the huge cavity through the middle where you can see the exposed plate and also that super foam there through the bottom. Yeah, but overall, pretty good outsole here. Durability is pretty good. But as I said, Puma grip, this is the market leader. This one doesn't falter in any conditions. There's no slippage on any greasy roads here. But we've got pretty thick, we've got a pretty thick coating of the Puma grip here. It probably doesn't need as much, and that would probably bring the weight down a little bit in this shoe. But as you can see, so much rubber, pretty much the entirety of the forefoot all the way down the lateral side and in the high wear areas at the back. You've got a bit of a channel here through the bottom, like a bit of a decoupled groove through the bottom, just to add a little bit of bounce to the ride. And we have got some exposed foam here that does touch the ground, but it's pretty much, it looks pretty robust, the foam in this shoe. But overall performance, Puma grip excellent, durability excellent. And in the midsole, so we've got a really simple design going on here in the Puma, and there is certainly a lot going on here in the HOKA. So we've got dual density foam going on, and they've got their premium Puma super foam in this shoe. However, it's not the whole of the shoe. So it's pretty much just the footbed of the shoe. So all the internal part is that Puma, and that's all encased in an EVA frame holding it all together. And they've also got a carbon plated in the shape of a H. So that's, it's not like a full length carbon plate or a full solid carbon plate. Yeah, it's shaped like a H, and that's meant to give the carbon plate a little bit of flexibility and can provide suspension to different parts of the shoe, as what the website says. So I'll actually put a graphic on so you can actually see what's going inside the shoe. But geometry wise, it has got a forefoot rocker, which is very, very noticeable as well. And it's quite late in the shoe, which is quite interesting because this shoe is designed for daily training. Now in the stiffness department, it's a very stiff shoe, considering it's got that H plate, but up around the toe area, we have got a little bit of flex there, but apart from the rest of the shoe, very, very stiff. Got a little bit of play left and right, yeah, but nothing, like I'm putting a lot of force into that. MagMax, so simple design, as I said, just one big slab of that Puma Nitro foam. So nitrogen injected foam, and it's got a really unique feeling, Nitro foam, if you haven't run in that. No plate in this shoe. However, stiffness wise, this shoe is just as stiff as the Skyward X. Yep, just as stiff. So from that, do you really need a carbon plate in this shoe? I'm not sold on it. I think it would just be as stiff without the plate in it, and we could probably bring it down $100 as well. But yeah, no plate in this one. Rocker geometry as well. However, this rocker, I think it's slightly further back in this shoe, and it accommodates slower jogging paces, a little better, more so than the Skyward X. And in the rides, well, I was fairly surprised with how close these two shoes matched up. Now with the Skyward X, so from my initial reviews and full review, I think my opinion is slightly changing on this shoe, and I think it's just because it's getting hotter here in Australia, so I think this hotter weather is helping this shoe to soften up, and it's maturing a little bit like a fine wine. So is it soft? No, I still don't classify this shoe as soft. Is it bouncy? Well, I don't classify it as overly bouncy as well. So I still think it's quite a solid ride. It's quite a dense ride, obviously very cushioned. When I'm jogging in it, it just feels like I've just got a lot of cushion under my foot with not much excitement. However, when you pick up the pace a little bit, so not much over jogging pace, so just come up to about that steady pace, put a bit of force into the shoe, then you can really feel the super foam. And I really enjoyed my run this morning. I just picked it up a little bit. I started hitting the rocker, hitting the sweet spot of the shoe, and I really got bopping along, and I really enjoyed the run. So I really appreciated what this shoe offers. So yes, it felt a little bit bouncy. It felt responsive. It felt really efficient with this rocker. So yeah, very, very nice ride. But I think for my running style, its happy place is certainly at about that steady pace. Where in the MagMax, is this shoe soft? Yes, I'll call it soft. It certainly feels softer than the Skyward X, but it's not a soft, squishy soft like you may find in other shoes. So it's like a Nitro soft. So Nitro foam, you don't actually sink into the foam as much as you do in like in a normal soft, squishy shoe. You sink into it a little bit, but it's got a really fast rebound, and that's what you feel like in this shoe. So this shoe, you don't really need to be putting more force into it to feel that energy return and the bounce in this shoe. You can just jog around in that and you still sink into it enough, and the shoe's got enough rebound and bounce and pop and excitement just to tick your legs along no matter what pace you're running. But in comparing the ride, so the softer shoe is certainly the MagMax. It's the bouncier ride when you're just jogging around, so much easier to get some bounce out. However, there's still a lot of bounce in the Skyward X, but it's performance bounce. So you need to put some pace into it, some force into it, and then you can really feel the bounce. So a really different type of bounce. This is a little, yeah, a poppy type bounce where you can just jog along and pop along, where this one, put some force into it, then you can really feel, yeah, some propulsiveness and some bounce out of that. And in stability, I'll probably give the nod to the MagMax just because it's a little bit wider through the rear and not so blocky, so not so easy to roll your ankle in. And best shoe, so for the MagMax, I think this shoe really shines at your easy days and your recovery days. Also a really good long run shoe if you've got no pace injected in the run. Whereas the Skyward X, yeah, good for your easy paces, but I think this one really shines when you pick up the pace a little bit more. So just that steady pace, I think you can also go up to tempo pace as well. And also your long runs, this one is going to be excellent for. And who are these shoes best for? So certainly for the heavier runners or people who hit the ground really hard, you're really going to dig into this foam and get lots of enjoyment out of these shoes. So this one was a really interesting comparison for me. So before I started testing both these shoes, I thought I'd much prefer the MagMax, but that wasn't the case, and that's because I'd forced myself to take the bad taste out of my mouth for how much this shoe costs. So taking that out of the equation and just taking the shoe for performance benefits only, I was pleasantly surprised with how much I appreciated the shoe. And I obviously think the warmer weather here in Australia is certainly helping this shoe come alive. And as I said, I think it's maturing a bit like a fine wine. So saying that, if I had to choose one of these shoes, it's really, really hard for me to decide, because if I'm going to go for a jog, an easy pace jog, I'm going to much prefer the MagMax. I think the geometry is far more accommodating to jogging, and just the ride and the foam, I can just get more bounce and enjoyment out of that. However, if I want to go for a long run, I am going to pick the Skyward X here because it's the more efficient shoe. I like to do my long runs at a little bit faster pace than that recovery pace. So I'll be able to get onto this rocker and really enjoy some of that pop and some of that excitement of that Puma foam. So yeah, I'm splitting hairs here, but I'd probably get more use out of the MagMax, and it's just gonna win by a whisker. But anyway, guys, that's it from me. Keen to hear your thoughts on my comparison between these two shoes. Any questions, please just drop that in the comments below. And again, thank you for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.